I quietly escaped my abusive home at 16 after years of torment from my predator stepbrother and mother who hated me for being a girl, only to have them show up at my doorstep years later, demanding I pay his student loans. When I refused to help, they tried breaking into my home while screaming I owed them for raising me, forcing my half-brother to threaten legal action against my stepbrother for what he did to me as a teen. Now I've discovered my mother has been committing fraud for years, draining my trust fund by claiming I'm still in school and using my social security number. She could have gotten away with it if she had just left me alone. My dad was American, Mom is Colombian. I was born in the U.S., then we moved for a few years back to Colombia, and we returned to the U.S. when I was 4. My mother was widowed when I was 1 year old. My biological father was much older than her. She was a second wife with 20 years of age difference. After that, she remarried her hometown sweetheart and adopted his 17-year-old son. My whole life, my mother constantly complained about the fact I was a girl. She would say things like, "If you were a boy, maybe we could have gotten more from your father," or "Girls are so useless." All I was for her was the problem child. She took my inheritance and squandered it, mostly on things for my stepbrother. Whenever she had guests, she would always introduce me and joke how I ruined her body and wasn't even worth it since I was a girl. Most her friends thought I had some kind of mental illness because of her lies about me being mentally behind. She used the R word. She would often blame it on my gender, though, saying, "Because you were born a girl, you're clearly inferior." If I got anything nice with my own money, my mother would take it from me if it was something like makeup or clothes, saying, "You're not attractive enough or worthy enough to have such nice things. You should just stick with a plain face since it will make it easier for you to find a job when you're done with high school." She had no intentions of letting me go to college. But the worst part is she never protected me. My stepbrother is a predator. At first, he just bullied me. He would be left in charge of me since he was studying locally and lived with my parents, but mostly his babysitting really meant things like locking me in the guest bathroom or the shed outside. He would steal my lunchbox whenever he was the one who dropped me off at school. He even began to harm my pets. I have an old cat that has been with me for almost 22 years. He tried more than once to run her over with his car. My parents never believed any of it. He's the classic golden child. My mom absolutely wanted a son instead of a daughter, so my stepbrother took priority over me. The bullying just kept getting worse and creepier. He had this long key for the bathroom. The door was designed in case it got locked by accident. One could open them by inserting a long stick or key through a small hole on the outside. He would use it to walk in on me showering. My underwear would disappear sometimes, and I know for a fact it was him. He also started taking pictures of me sleeping. One night, I woke up to him taking care of himself next to me while I slept. I yelled, obviously. My parents came over, but he wasn't in trouble. My mother blamed it on me, saying, "You were tempting her poor sweet boy." I was 14 when this happened. He was 27. No one helped me, and he got bolder until he did something I am still in therapy for when I was 16. It got to a point where I called my biological half-older brother Sam to see if I could live with him and his wife, Sandy, during my last 2 years of high school. He is the son of my biological father's first wife. When Sam found out what was going on, he confronted my mom. My mom didn't care and just told him, "Take her as long as you never ask me for money." Done and done. My brother and his wife became my legal guardians and took me in with my cat and the old family dog since I didn't trust leaving any living creature with Chris around. Thanks to my paternal family, including Sam's mother and her family, I got my bachelor's and master's, no student debt, and work as a nurse practitioner. I still live with Sam, his wife, and their 2 kids, and I pay a small rent. Neither Sam nor his wife expected me to pay anything, but that's the least I can do for the 2 people who have taken care of me for 13 years. Things seemed okay until my mom messaged me recently. She had not messaged me since I was 18 when she told me, "I no longer have any responsibility to you." In this message, she sounded overly friendly, telling me, "I miss you so much. How are you doing?" I was a bit creeped out, but decided to be nice, telling her about what I had done since leaving her care. She seemed very interested since apparently she knew I was a nurse, but not what kind I was. She began asking me about my salary. I didn't tell her anything about it, but that it was enough to pay the bills. My mom then began texting about Chris and how he was barely making any money due to his student debt. Apparently, Chris never finished a degree, jumping from career to career. He is now working in my stepdad's used cars business as a salesman, but most of his pay went to pay the substantial student debt he got over the year. I told my mom how sorry I was that Chris was having a hard time and wished him luck. That's when my mom finally got to what she wanted. She texted me, "You need to pay his student debt so he can finally begin to make the money he deserves like the man of the family." I just turned off my phone. When I got home, Sam was surprised since I was usually the last to arrive. I told Sam what happened and showed him my mom's text messages. I don't think I've seen Sam this angry ever. He told me, "Block your mom, stepdad, and Chris if you haven't done so yet." After talking with Sam and Sandy, I called my boss to ask for the next day and the one after off. This gave me a 4-day weekend, including the days I'm normally off shift. My boss was more than okay with this and told me, "Just take it easy and let me know if I can help." This backfired because the next day my mom and Chris decided to come to Sam's house to speak to me. I was alone since Sam and Sandy were at work and the kids were at school. I immediately called Sam and told him what was going on. He told me, "Don't open the door. I'm on my way." My mom spent the whole time screaming, "You owe us for raising you," and "Your sweet brother deserves the money." Chris was going around trying to find a window or door unlocked. There wasn't any since the windows have safety bars and the only other door is in the closed garage and one in the yard. I won't post what he called me when he saw me from one of the windows, but basically, he pretty much told me, "They should have thrown you away when you were a baby since you grew to be a bitch." He pounded on one of the windows so hard he actually cracked the glass. Eventually, he gave up and went back to the front door, clearly trying to kick it down. Between yelling, threatening, pleading, and insults, I finally heard Sam screaming, "Get lost!" to them. I only saw things from the window. Sam pretty much dragged them both off the porch. They got to a point I couldn't hear, but I saw my mom and Chris pale and look scared before they pretty much ran to their car and drove off way past the legal speed limit. Sam came in a bit after and immediately went full overprotective brother mode, asking me, "Are you okay?" He kept saying, "I'm so sorry," and hugging me. Sandy arrived almost immediately after, and she looked like she was about to commit a felony. Apparently, Sam threatened Chris with filing charges for what he did to me when I was 16. My brother's ace. My stepdad was willing to testify against his own son. That seemed enough to get Chris off our backs, but not my mom. Since then, it's been 3 days and my mom has sent texts, called nonstop with various numbers, and rallied a group of people who are supposedly my maternal family to harass me for money. She claims that money should legally be mine since I'm your mother. It's your late father's missed child support. My stepfather actually commented in her post saying, "You're lying and your son is a pedophile." That's how I found out what was the big fallout between them. Stepbrother went after one of stepfather's nieces. In her words, "Daughters don't need inheritance. Just marry a wealthy old man like me." Well, since my mother and Chris have been harassing me lately, we drove to my dad's lawyer to get some things we need from my dad's records for the lawsuit we are planning. He's a sweet older man, kinda looks like my dad a bit, and was my dad's best friend. When we met, he received me with a hug and told me, "I'm so happy to finally meet you." Once we all caught up, we found my mother had been faking receipts to get money from my trust. A lot of it. Some of it from when I was under Sam's guardianship. She's been sending receipts for me because I'm still in medical school. I finished school in 2021. Well, her meal ticket not only got torn, and now she's in big trouble. Because this is fraud, and basically my hands are tied about pressing charges or not. She claims me as a dependent on her taxes, so my dad's lawyer would refund her for her expenses. He basically told me, there's just no way we can keep this just in civil court. I have to contact IRS and the police. I wouldn't have done anything about my mom using my trust if she had left me alone. I wouldn't even know about it because the trust is set for me to take over it with proof of marriage or graduating college. And since I didn't know about it, I never sent the required paperwork to take control. She could have milked it dry if she left me alone and just kept sending fake information. I am in the process to get what's left of my trust. There's quite a bit in it, and should be enough for me to get a house or a condo if I mix it with my savings, and still have left over to invest or do other things safely. I might wait for a while to buy anything, though. I don't know how safe it would be since my mom still has my social security number. For now, I plan to stick with living with my brother Sam until we have a better idea of what is the safest way for me to move on. I hope she gets all the consequences she deserves, and you get all the justice that you deserve for dealing with all the mess and harassment